Between Ourselves, Part 13. January the 12th, 2013. Saturday in the Red Raven at 7:30 p.m. An alcoholic speaks. Feeling uninterested in everything now, and I'd like to slowly get drunk and play golf on the PlayStation 3. Here I am at the bar again. I have a long evening ahead, and all I want to do is drink and get absorbed in the golf game later. I wish to get drunk and sleep quickly. However, I did plan a day of drinking on Monday, so I would like to stay clean tonight somehow. To be able to raise the game here in the bar. But I'm not walking in the sun now. I'm not walking over some high energy ground. I don't talk out loud now, no. Now I sit here in my place of work and I wait. I wait and I write. To be able to raise the game tonight, such a thing as that, is rarely achieved. The opportunity is here to put my will to the test, to be at rest, to hypnotize myself like during my walks, to feel it all drop off and find that other way, the high country. I need to find the key of the moment to unlock the door, to give me some peace and some space. What a challenge. What an opportunity for a night like this, a night to find the grace. January 14, Monday, 7:30 p.m. at the Red Raven. Yesterday, Sunday, didn't end up too well. I got drunk. I was talking crap. I was saying, I'm better than this person, I'm better than that person, etc., etc. The ego monster. She wanted to leave the house and go somewhere, but I wanted her to stay. I wanted to sing and dance. I wanted her as my audience. During a struggle, she grabbed my left index finger and pulled it back, damn near broke it. I guess it could have been worse. She left the house and I went to bed. When she returned at 2 a.m., I was very close to throwing up in bed. Very sick. I didn't throw up, but still, it was a very bad evening, and it would certainly have been a lot worse if I had drank more red wine as I wanted to. Luckily, she had taken it with her. I would have been sick for sure if I had finished the other bottle of red wine. I had already drank 2. From today I will not drink in the afternoons, and I will attempt to stop being negative. My wife thinks I need outside help, although Harper didn't seem to do me any good. She doesn't give me much of a chance on my own. I wanted to be high so badly on Sunday afternoon that I consciously did not eat anything so as the effect of the alcohol would be quick and strong. What a stupid thing to do. On the bright side, this was the first major incident in a long time, even if it had been building up for weeks. Now it's over, and I need to use my time more productively. No more drinking during the afternoons, as that has become a regular occurrence, and one which has led to a few bad evenings of me being too drunk to work in the bar in the evening. January 15, the Red Raven. Time comes and goes. Just time to use to feel or not feel. Right now I have no appetite, and I feel small like a pygmy. This is always the way after a session. I must change my drinking habits. Right now I am just passing time. The beat comes and goes. One gets strong, one gets weak, and then it's the other way around. The balance changes. Stay on this level. Stay here. Be conscious here. Be aware of this. No changing it. One must live through it. One must learn. If I want no more big swings, I must stay sober now. But how can I do that? Trying to stay sober is like trying to stay awake. Sooner or later, sleep will overtake you, but you will never know when. Get used to the day and the movements of that day. One has to take one as you are at this very moment. No changing it. It's not that bad, I can handle it. No going up. No changing it, just accept it. Accept the moment. Accept the present. Accept the present you. Perhaps I have some sort of psychological sickness. A sickness inside that creates the need to drink and the need to be drunk. Mind medication. But I know that being drunk is only a very temporary solution, and the next day I always feel worse. I need to find another way. The song. The hour of bad feeling is upon me. I won't wish it away. I won't curse it. I won't will for a drink. No resignation, acceptance. This is it, so put up with it. It's not that bad, I can handle it. I will breathe it in slowly. No inspiration here, so what? No need for it. I accept all factions of me equally. From now on my days will be of resignation. No more fighting. I will end this battle and make it over. January 16th, Wednesday. I am rambling through the evening here at the bar, passing time and writing words and lines for a future me. I'm listening to Ennio Morricone. My wife is looking at the laptop. She wants to buy a dog, I think. And me, well, I'm still nursing a very sore index finger. The evening is moving very slowly, and there are no customers here at the Red Raven. Inventory of the day. I watched a western called 10 Bad Men with Randolph Scott and Richard Boone. It was crap. Now I'm waiting to go home and watch more crap. I tried to capture the day and the thoughts and feelings of this day, the sights and sounds of the day. This now, right now. I wonder why I want to do such a thing, as there is little to say about this day. But perhaps in 2023 you may wish to know more about this day in 2013. But for what it's worth, to you future person, it seems pointless to write lots about such a normal, peaceful, uneventful day. I will give a brief summary. Got up at 10:30 a.m. Earl Grey. Small chocolate cake sliced. Fed the cat. My wife walked to work. Sky News. Helicopter crash in Vauxhall, London. Drove to work. Met my wife in the car park. The bar very busy. A table of 7, a table of 3, a table of 4. I went to the chemist for a nicotine patch for my wife. It's her second week of not smoking. Magnetism tablets for me to help ease stress. Then the supermarket. Then back to the bar. Sugar, milk, goat's cheese. Rochford. Left everything there. 6:20 p.m. and we leave to go to the Connemara. 6:30 p.m. and then we leave to go to the Red Raven. It's very cold, and here I am getting ready for a busy evening. January the 18th, Ephrem's Descent. My wife is in a very bad mood. Is it the lack of cigarettes? the lower nicotine patches. The nicotine patches are a lower level than the one she was using before. Is it the time of the month? It could mean that she starts to rant about all the usual suspects. I need to stay neutral and remember I resigned from it all. I can take this moment, it's not too bad. I can stay here and not wish to be somewhere else. Here it comes. All bad stuff. My mind is coming to destroy me. I must do this, I must do that. You cannot watch TV all afternoon and waste time. You must do something. Guilt. Guilt. The usual suspects. The game of world ambition and ego. The need for recognition. The game of this culture. What exactly would I lose if I said to myself, I don't give a fuck about this game anymore. I will sit this useless fucker out. No engaging with this useless stuff. This useless stuff of ego. Leave all alone. Wait, watch, and listen. Ephrem sinking. Air-conditioned fan. Elgar playing. Boots on the wooden floor. A deep breath. Here we wait. I wait. For how long? How long will this beat last, this part of the day, this session? It is one day like all the rest. I want one day like the next. No surprises. This feeling of guilt, this feeling of I should do something of use in the afternoon. But what doing of mine would be of use to me now or in the future? Surely a free mind and contented mood would be of use now and in the future. But that does not come from any doing, not a physical doing anyway. It comes more from a letting go, a getting away from the mind, and becoming the master instead of the slave. My wife is looking on the internet for a new car. I cannot help, or to be more exact, I could help, but I'm not interested. Everything is too stressful now. Still, I guess it's as useful as doing as anything else. But no doing can get me what I want, which is contentedness and a free soul. But a high spirit will not come from any doing. No doing can give me what I want. January 28th, the Red Raven. I want to do something different today, like go to another village for a coffee. Go somewhere different. It is strange how the day after a drinking session I am decidedly happy to stay put and content to do nothing but look at the walls. This was the way I felt last Monday after Sunday's drinking session. I had a love of the routine, the now, comfortable ways. But then, after a certain number of days of abstinence from alcohol, I become a bit edgy. And I want to do something different. I want to change my mood, my conscious level. I want to raise my spirits, and of course then the thought of a quick fix through alcohol comes to mind. Instead, I want to enjoy things the way they are. I wish to sink into this moment. I wish to avoid quick fixes. Health is wealth. If only we could remember that nothing else matters. If you love what you do, then it would be effortless. Cooper. Perhaps this Mr. Cooper was a myth. I would have liked to have met him, to see someone who had figured it out, someone who was free, someone who was a true spectator, someone with harmonious energy. No give or take. He was fully content with his movie and his inner situation. all of this agenda, all of this now will be forgotten in time. Imagine you came back to this moment from some future moment, and you could live this moment again, and it would be free of all baggage, because the baggage of now wouldn't concern the future you. Well, it doesn't concern you now, so go ahead and be free. January 30. Health is wealth. I was sick this weekend. On Saturday night, as I was cooking for some customers, my stomach began to feel bad, and by the end of the evening I was kind of bent over in the kitchen with cramps, heartburn, and other stomach problems. Problems that I'd never encountered before. Saturday night was awful. I couldn't get any relief, no matter which way I lay. I twisted and turned in bed till 5 a.m. On top of that, I had a continual headache. But my stomach, my gut, even now 4 days later, I'm still uncomfortable and have the feeling that I have muck or metal in my guts and sharp pains in my upper back. I believe all this has been brought about by my munching my way through 3 big antibiotic pills every day for the past week. This was on the advice of my dentist, as I was having the roots of a dead tooth removed. I actually found myself looking forward to the dentist's needles so as to take my mind off my stomach for a while. The dentist suggested the antibiotics in order to avoid any chance of infection. Anyway, the roots of the tooth were removed without any trouble. As I get older, I hope I don't start to develop any health problems which need strong medication, as I don't think my stomach could cope with it. Sometimes the cure can be worse than the problem. However, I have learned a lot this weekend. The value of feeling good and being healthy, and how all the silly thoughts that cause unease disappear completely when one is really in physical pain. I thought to myself, when I get well, I'll be so happy to feel good and for my gut to feel normal again, that I would be perfectly content and happy to sit still and simply stare at the walls for the afternoon without wanting to be anywhere else, or without wanting to do anything else. What would he do, this Mr. Cooper? I have not had a drop of alcohol in 17 days. Cooper would simply relax and watch life, the movie. He would help as much as he could, but he would not be involved emotionally, just the spectator of the game. Today's game, Wednesday's game. I feel fear. Fear of the drunken man. Fear of the late arrival. I am not that. I will stop. I have decided not to be me. A mind transplant. Different picture, different story, different feelings. Listen now with great care and attention. He reacts. He sits and he waits. A higher hand. A hired hand. Energy converter. The 1st of February in the Red Raven. The miracle of music. My Lou Reed tape, New Sensations, fell on the kitchen floor and broke. I pushed it back together and tried playing it on my old 1970s cassette player. But the tape got caught and mangled and unravelled outside the cassette box. After the service, I opened the cassette box, and all the pieces, including the 2 spools of tape, fell out on the tabletop. I have had this tape since, well, I don't know when. It's always been around. Anyhow, I was close to throwing it all in the bin, but I decided to try and fix it. I rewound the tape, untwisted all the tangled bits, and I put it back in its place in one half of the box. I then put the little piece that the tape goes over in its slot, and I pushed the other half of the box together. There are no screws in this cassette box. No screws, so I just pressed it together and the whole thing clicked into place. All of this took under 2 minutes, and it seemed highly unlikely that I would ever get this tape to work again, especially when I remember looking at all the pieces lying on the table in front of me. It seemed impossible, and yet when I played it, it worked perfectly. I played it twice to be sure. As I was fixing the tape, it didn't seem like it was me fixing the tape. It was like I was on automatic pilot, just putting the pieces together. The episode felt like a minor miracle. I shall remember that for a long time. February the 6th, 2013, The Red Raven. Time loop. When I came back to this time and place, I realized that I would have to plug into the consciousness of this moment. And I again felt the wave of depression, although I did not know what the mental problems or other hang-ups of that moment were, as I was not from that place. The depression was there somehow, in that moment, in that space, even though I didn't know the personal thoughts or problems of that earlier me from that earlier time. It was as if the unease was simply hanging in the air and I was plugged into it. Of course, it was very simple for me to unplug from the unease, to be aware, to relax, to be free, to just be. Withdrawal. I'm getting ready to go home and drink 2 25-centiliter bottles of red wine. I don't really want to drink, but I can't seem to stand the idea of another night in front of the TV. I said last month that I would stay sober and learn to enjoy the now. Then a day like this comes along and I hunger for some change, some mental lift, a change of consciousness, to be absorbed into the golf game I play on the PlayStation with the help of the alcohol. I do not like the idea of needing alcohol in that way. Back in the field. I wonder if it's tough in the field tonight. Are we all being swamped with negative energy? We individually think the problem lies here or there, or once that problem or objective is solved or achieved, we will breathe free again. But there is no problem. There is no objective to be filled. There is just a state of mind, imprisoned in depression. Is it some form of wave? Use your art. Is it something in the air sent out to subdue or hinder us? Is it some kind of fight against us? We need to unplug ourselves from all the negativity that is the mass media. We will raise ourselves up, and we will help raise each other up, and we will become big in energy. There are new seeds rising. We will fight while standing still. February the 12th. Another blackout. I feel relaxed today after a big drinking session on Sunday. My wife had gone to her sister for the weekend. I drank 4 cans of beer and 20 centiliters of whiskey before walking toward the lake near our house. When I returned home, I cooked some food. I then started in on a bottle of wine. I drank it all quickly. I then turned all the cooking off. I finished a second round of golf on the PlayStation and I smoked some cigarettes. I don't know what time it was, perhaps 10 or 11, but I began to feel sick, so I went to bed. And during the night, I threw up 2-3 times. Next day, I got up at midday and I felt okay. I washed everything, the bed sheets, my clothes. I cleaned the floor, I cleaned the house. By the end of the day, everything was like new. It was a long, long day for me. A bad day of hangover. I spent the entire day in my pajamas with Kate the cat. I ate a small amount, I watched TV, I lay on the sofa. feeling bad, physically bad, mentally bad. I watched some German film which depressed me. I watched Lake Placid with Bridget Fonda and Brendan Gleeson. And I watched 90125 in English. I felt quite subdued today, Tuesday. I'm depressed because I don't remember very much about Sunday evening at all. I guess it was a quiet evening. I just played golf, smoked, drank, and got sick. February the 13th, in the Red Raven. I saw someone on TV yesterday. It was the French version of the X Factor. The someone in question seemed in control, confident, and with a strange look of composure. Perhaps it was all just a projection of the way I would like to be, the ideal me, a good energy type, not lots of feelings, a character that I would like to be. One that knows we are all in the same boat, but he doesn't worry, because it doesn't concern him somehow. He just watches. He watches the others react, and he interacts. He seemed a great example of strength. What will be, but right now, I'm free. A seeing in black and white with no clouded emotional responses. A less feeling type. Maybe I feel too much. Too self-absorbed. That's why I like the idea of the cold observer. Outside the game. Outside my human weaknesses. A thought is a thought. Real is real. A feeling can be changed. All is attitude. Concentrate. Want for nothing. No forward or backward. See what is really there. One can achieve objectives without needlessly thinking about them. Be outside looking in, like your ideal. Such is the scene, such is the sphere I'm in. I watch, like the character on that TV show, with no clouded emotional responses. I watch the scene from afar. I watch the scene on the screen. There the actor is. Feelings are not on show. Some customers have arrived. It's time for me to do some work. February the 22nd. Ephrem listens, but cannot interact. He stands, arms folded, as he listens to his wife talking to their friend and her girlfriend. Smiling quietly, he nods his head and does his best to interact. The three girls talk of this and that. Business is slow. My job is busy. The kids are off to school. The kids are off school. He looks and tries hard to think twice. He tries to feel neutral. But he has no connection here. No pressure. So why does he feel just that? Why does he feel under pressure, uneasy? He cannot keep eye contact with anyone for more than a second. He feels judged. Was that what it was? Being judged and found wanting? Did he really want all these people to like him? Was that really of any importance to him? He tried to listen and have some internal dialogue with himself at the same time. Like being in a scene in a movie. It was like being in two places at one time, working the gears with one hand and steering the car with the other. He remembered something a teacher had told him once. The teacher had said, "Leave yourself alone." The talking of the three girls surprised him. There was no lack of dialogue. There was no pauses at all. No subject that all three couldn't easily express opinions on. Even though it was the first time his wife had met her friend's friend. They talked and talked in an endless flow, sometimes all at once, before one voice came through stronger than the others. There seemed to be an endless supply of sentences and topics to discuss, and it was all done in a light and breezy manner. He could be casual, but he would run out of stuff to say very, very quickly. He watched them, and his mind wandered. He thought of the evening. It was now 10:15 p.m., and they were still here. What was it with him and the evenings? When this hour came, he always wanted to be somewhere else. As the evening wore on, he felt more and more uncomfortable in the bar. He was lucky to be here in the south of France. He knew he was. He just needed to keep his mind positive. March the 2nd in the Red Raven. 2013, the year of routine. Routine stretching endlessly ahead. What is the objective? The objective is no objective. Each day is a chance to enhance. Waiting. For all we do is wait. The disengaged ones. We enjoy self-observation. We know the relevance of the storms. Watch them from a small boat. Watch them from a locked car. If we can put it all aside, if we can abide, be the ideal, my ideal, then we see the reflection, the perfect reflection. Watch for the distractions. The mind seeks movement. It does not like stillness. Watch carefully for the next distraction, the next wave of discontent. It will try to undo you, to undo the calm, the peace. See how they come, one by one, all irrelevant. Be fixed tight to peace and quiet. Be light. Let them come and then watch them go. Concentrate. Free flow. What do we do next? What do we do next? This is the champion of distraction. What will I do next? What comes next? Next objective, next obstacle, next meal, next. Extend the moment, elongate it. There is only one moment, and this is it. There is no next, just a continuous flowing, a constant moment. Drop all earthly torments, big and small. Just say to yourself, fuck it. March 6th, 2013. I feel good today, more than the total sum of my thoughts and feelings, more than my limitations. When in the spirit we create good energy for ourselves and others, we see and hear more clearly. Solutions and creativity comes from this true stillness, the real calm. Why would you let something disturb this peace? Wouldn't you rather sell all to keep this peace within? March 13th, the Red Raven, the man at the bar. Bundle of feelings, but I am almost aware of watching them. I am almost objective with them. This bundle of feelings. To be ahead of the boredom, or is the key to just be here and now? Fight from this little spot. It drifts again and I almost slide down the ladder to forgetfulness and new angst. Hanging on to awareness. This is me. This is the essence of me. Toing and froing between stable and uneasy. Not much of a thought, but plenty of feeling. A man stands at a bar, and as he talks to his wife, I feel calmer now. The man who stands at the bar, his voice is relaxing. I look at him. He talks to my wife. My wife serves him a drink. His voice is relaxing. The mind of man is composed of waves of electrical activity with no center. The bigger the wave, the stronger the mood. The mind of man is composed of waves of electrical activity with no center. The bigger the wave, the stronger the mood. The objective comes, the artistic objective, and the wave changes to a particle. And the particle creates the objective activity, the aesthetic moment. March 4th, 2013. The Red Raven. My wife is in very bad form today, all the usual suspects. She has to do everything herself. Right now I feel irritated, yet I did not feel irritated this morning. Is it contagious, this irritation? I am tempted to attack in some stupid way, but it would be better if I look objectively at my ego. My something is attacked, and so my ego snaps into action. It needs to defend, it needs to make excuses, it needs to feel right and justified, fight back. Perhaps my wife would like an argument right now, but no, I'm not doing that. The old ways didn't work, so I will try something new and not allow my ego to dictate my actions. The 12th of March. Sometimes we believe that achieving a certain objective or doing a certain thing will change a bad feeling we have into a good one. But it is the same feeling that has been around for years and years and years, and no physical doing is going to change it. However, if you accept your inner state totally at this moment, it may actually improve by itself. Freedom is feeling, not doing. It's not the external doing that matters. What counts is the inner domain, and the lightness, and the contentedness, and the deep, peaceful breath. Doing keeps the mind occupied, but meditation and contemplation, well, they can set it free. March 25th. Where are we going? I had to quit. I had to resign from all the world's design. What was it all for? What were we all after? What was the objective? The blind leading the blind, when all there ever was here and now, the very thing itself, me, whatever I am. Whatever I am, I am. So much following, so much sprinting after the cure, the job, the chores to be done, the blind, blistering speed of us running madly after it, that phantom thing, that elusive objective. But we always remain undone. It can catch you in a second, this evil fucking spell. With the snap of its fingers, your mind has gone off on some pointless trip. What's more important, this moment or some future one? 17th of May. A total blackout. I had a very bad weekend, and I can hardly bring myself to talk about it. As usual, my wife was away for the weekend. I thought I was finished with the bad drinking episodes, but no, not yet. Last Saturday I had 2 pints of lager at the Red Raven. And for the walk home, which normally takes 40 minutes, I bought 6-pack of lager and also a 20 centiliter bottle of whiskey. You see, I wanted to get as high as quickly as possible, so I drank everything fast. I had eaten very little that day, and the alcohol worked very quickly. I had a complete blackout. I was walking home, and the next thing I remember is being woken up by the red and blue uniforms of the police and the firemen. I remember thinking how beautiful the sky looked. Someone had seen me passed out in a field and did not know whether I was dead or alive, so he called the police, the emergency services. I don't remember very much of the evening, except having my blood pressure taken and lying on a stretcher inside an ambulance. I awoke the next day with the worst kind of hangover, and not much recollection of the evening. Was it daylight when they brought me home, or dark? Was it a police car or the ambulance? How did I behave? I have no idea. I have no memory. A total blackout. I guess I must have been functioning on some level, as I locked the back door as normal. So I can only hope that I was well behaved, but I don't know. Anyway, enough of the past. What's done is done. Now I must start again. Here I am in this place, just breathing in and out. I feel my face, skin on bone. I am finite. I am warm. I am just passing time, waiting for the end and the light to be switched off. I don't like the moments before sleep. Bad thoughts keep rising, never happy ones. Perhaps it's time to start thinking of an exit strategy. The other day I read some of my words out loud to my wife. Why? Recognition? Need for approval? Need to be told I count? The need of my ego? Why? Who could be genuine? Who could leave off the snap character? And who would put up with them if they did? The 22nd of May, 2013. Permanent transient. I slept for 12 hours last night, and today I feel exhausted. Maybe something went wrong in my head after my last blackout. I've been so down since then. I have to learn to be in the moment all over again, and I need some plan to handle these bad feelings. I have no motivation to do anything. The observing element in me takes the control seat, the observing character, the one who reacts, not acts. Creating the perfect character to save me. It will need to be someone of strength, mental strength, so as to overcome the dark waves on the air. The watcher. The observer watched the show from somewhere deep inside, out of conscious range. The observer noticed the inner peace depart. Honor, pride, programming, and automatic snap emotions all helped with the loss of the center. He sighed, all a useless pantomime. If only he could raise above it, this snap personality for the public. There was nothing wrong with being an acceptable citizen and putting other people at ease, but the observer knew that the shame was true freedom was so close at hand, and that if people could see our true selves, they would prefer them to the false selves which we prefer to parade. June the 6th. If I were centered and good inside, I am sure that solutions would come easily. The idea that an outer obstacle being fulfilled is going to give you lasting peace is an illusion. No matter where you go or what you do, you will always be you inside. The inner attitude needs to change. Even here I search for the next line, as if that held the key. Wherever you go, there you are. The annoying thought. There it goes again. It looks to the future for its delivery. It fumbles for the what do I do next feeling and thought. The answer is always the same. The answer is always the same. To be somewhere else. Always somewhere else. The key to contentedness is always misplaced. It's over there. It's the next day. It's the next drink. It's the next month. What a clever and devious little bastard it is, always keeping us away from this moment, always keeping our mind on some other time, just in case we realize the fact that now is all there is, and all there ever will be, and that we carry around everything within us. The actor. "Where is this famous Mr. Cooper?" he asked me sarcastically. "He's never far away," I replied, looking straight ahead at the storm in the distance. "It's coming, isn't it?" he said aimlessly as he followed my gaze. "Yes, it is," I replied. 18th of July. I drank a bottle of wine last night and had some good moments, and somehow it all seems false today. The very thinking process of me while under the influence seems flawed, and there is no progress. No good stuff to take forward with me today. I drank, but did not get to any high country. My thoughts were not high, they were not liberating, they were false. I had a pretty good evening, but today I don't feel good. I pay a heavy price for the few good moments I had yesterday. Is it worth it? No, of course it isn't. August the 9th. Serenity at last. No willing for anything now. I've stepped outside it. The rebelliousness of leaving it all well alone. The rebelliousness of no ambitions, no opinions, no judging yourself. The rebelliousness of no need for approval or recognition, no more searching, no purpose, just a calm, contemplative state. Is it possible that from this contemplative state, where the center is found and the healthy breath resides, that a person can make something and transfer this state to the observer, even if ever so briefly? Is peace contagious? August 27th. I drank heavily on Sunday night. I woke my wife up at 2 a.m. to talk about some fucking thing. It was not a disastrous evening, but not a good one either. I've been drinking approximately 1 bottle of wine every evening now for the last 2 weeks. And although I try to be careful, I realize I'm skating on thin ice as regards alcohol. I do not want another alcohol-related episode, but lately I know that I'm pushing my luck. What would Mr. Cooper do? Absolute resignation, he said. All things must be dropped. Calmness descended on him and remained with him throughout most of that evening. Could it be that his meditations were paying off at last? Cooper watched it all from afar. He watched all the illusions being played out, all the doings. He said, "Sometimes you simply have to say, fuck it, to all and sundry." September the 10th. I am back from 4 days alone in Dublin. Not surprisingly, I was drunk for most of my holiday, or rather my short break. I did not see half the things I'd planned on seeing. It was a wasted trip. When I returned from Dublin, I spent the weekend with my wife in the Côte Bleue, Marseille. We went to a nice restaurant to eat some fresh fish, but afterwards I had one cognac too many, and I spent the rest of the evening ranting and raving about some fucking thing, another memorable failure and another weekend destroyed and spoiled. The 1st of October. A competition in relaxation. This game is all about relaxation. Relaxation creates confidence, well-being, and helps rid the body of stress and toxins. The competition is you against the rest. How serene can you be? How relaxed can you be? When all is still and relaxed, we self-medicate with pure, positive thought. How deeply relaxed can you become? To play this game, one needs to be in this moment and not in the next. There are many levels of relaxation. There are deeper and deeper levels of relaxation. October 9, 2013. Empathy. I have been watching my wife closely with her iPhone, and as I did so, I had a moment of clarity, and I felt a great sense of empathy with her as she sat there, keeping herself occupied, like me, with things. Somewhere behind it all, we are like children. We all have ambitions and dreams which for most of us never see the light of day. Something in the stillness of watching my wife whispered to me that we are all just waiting somehow and trying to find ways to pass the time. Even at most jobs, people are finding things to do to pass the time. At least that's the way I feel. As I looked at my wife, it made me sad to realize that in a sense we are all very much alone. And even in a marriage, even when together 24/7, there is still a loneliness in living life and getting older. We are both in our mid-40s. The aging process and mortality itself has started to become more and more conscious to both of us. And yet, even though we talk of these things to each other, we must endure and experience them alone in some ways. That made me sad. 9 p.m. My mood has changed so many times today. I feel like I am 77 varieties of myself, all melting and melding into different states. Never the same one for too long. Up and down. Now I am stable and content and aware that it is from this spot I always think I should make plans to help stay in this state. But that is very difficult, as my state could change by the end of this sentence. October 11, The Red Raven. I am the actor in the role that was formerly you. It is possible for me to reach a high state without the use of alcohol. The great danger of ambition and the pie in the sky. But there is a great relaxation to be had from the total dropping off of everything. Know me for a while, just a smile, lip service, a deep contentment inside and a feeling of winning, of being ahead of the game somehow. Believe in a certain magic that comes from surrender. Be a medium. Allow something to work through you. Be free for it. Let the minutes pass one by one, happily. Enjoy the day, but don't rush it. Time is too short for wishing days away. They are all valuable. On this day we try and drop all our high-minded ideas and just give lip service. Step off the carousel. No more hurting yourself. It is time to do nothing and do it really well. October 19, 2013, in the Red Raven. Our business is stalling. There's more money going out than coming in. It's the same old story, and it's been like that since the beginning. Yet, we are still here. For a few moments during my dream last night, I felt a recognition that I was on the right path in terms of my ideas of the contented breath, or the dropping off of most things and lip service. These ideas seemed to briefly find their way into my attitude in the dream, and I felt very relaxed and content. A voice seemed to say to me, "You're on the right path." A conversation between higher man and a lower man. Higher man: "Look at you on the screen. You are about to meet some friends." Lower man: "I remember this. It's last week. I met those two people last week." Higher man. And when you did, your peace departed, did it not? Yes, it did. I don't know why. I guess it's the way he looked at me. He had a confidence. It felt like he knew my weaknesses or something. And she seemed the same. So I got unstuck. And I couldn't keep eye contact with either of them. I ended up feeling guilty of something. Perhaps failure. Higher man. So many times in the past, when you were blown off course, your mind set and right was unmade in a second. An inner peace lost in a moment, either by chance meeting of some inner change. Lower man, it's difficult to face it all. The strong attitude never seems to last too long. Or to put it another way, the strong variety of me is only a very momentary thing. Higher man. I'm going to let you redo some of these scenes again. Only this time, you will be the better version of you. You will be the higher version of you, in touch with your higher power. Lower man. But nothing stands still. Least of all moods and attitudes, even the good ones, unfortunately. Higher man. Look carefully and at length at yourself on this screen, and these past events, past days, past places, they all have something in common. A certain melancholy, inner angst, a certain tightness of breath. None of those times were ever involved in a change of direction. They were just concerned with immediate states of mind and minor occurrences over a few days. Nothing important happened. The mood you were in had no effect whatsoever on anything external, just your personal internal. Therefore, it was only a pain for you and otherwise totally pointless. You could and did achieve all the momentary objectives of these time slots with a lightness of being. You could have achieved all of these momentary objectives with a lightness of being. So I want you to go back to that walk from yesteryear. I want you to do it again. You will not even remember the mental noise and nonsense that occurred and concerned you at that time. But I will brief you on that. Even though those little tribulations of yesteryear will have no effect on you now, obviously, how could they? They're gone, like all your little tribulations of today will be gone tomorrow. Here today, gone tomorrow. October 23. I don't feel well tonight. I feel like a cowboy sitting here in a saloon, with his back to the wall, smiling and being very still, hiding the fact that he has been shot. My right shoulder and my right arm are stinging me. It's a bizarre sensation. I sit still and breathe, steady and shallow, waiting for a breakthrough. October 25th. My wife is visiting her family this weekend, and the bar is closed till next Tuesday. I feel nervous as I sit here alone. I always worry about my wife when she has to drive anywhere. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm drinking a bottle of rosé here on my own in the bar. I need this medication to fight this terrible anxiety I feel today. 5 p.m. I have finished my bottle of wine and I'm feeling better. I've spent the last 3 hours talking to myself non-stop, as if I were giving a lecture to a class of invisible pupils, a lecture on the dynamics of acting. Perhaps I am surrounded by invisible spirits, and at least they have gotten something out of this invisible lecture. I am now at the laptop downloading music to my MP3, powerful music for my 40-minute walk home. October 30th, 2013. I had a few more glasses of wine in the local bars before my walk home last Friday, and although I remember part of the walk, as usual, I do not remember very much after that. But no matter how good the drunk evening was, you always have to put up with the mental anguish the following day, the depression, the fear, the insecurity. I felt just terrible the next day. A blackout is a terrifying thing. 9 p.m. The dark evenings are upon us, and with no customers, this is going to be a very long evening indeed. We are both just slumped in our chairs. We are in hibernation mode. The darkness feels very deep tonight. November the 1st. Another dead evening. No customers at all, just the sound of the machinery and the air conditioner blowing out warm air. Fight yourself, fight your thoughts, fight your feelings. It's about survival and making the internal spiritualized and free. Be brave. There are many levels of relaxation. How deep can you go? It's only time. It's your time to spend as you want, at least internally. How do you feel? November 8th. The actor appeared again. Fancy seeing you here, I said. I've come to strengthen the moment, he said, and he smiled. His smile was warm. Constantly striving but never arriving. Ah, what a ridiculous game we play, he said, as he walked ahead of me, before turning around and giving me an intense look. It's so close, you know. It's so near. What is? I asked. The solution. The answer. That's what. He beamed and left. November 12th. I spent the weekend at my wife's parents' house, and thankfully I managed to stay relatively sober. No madman. Fuck it. Drop it all right now. All the baggage. What have you got to lose? November 16, 2013. The evening came down like all the others, and yet he knew there was always the chance of some magic. Is there anything more that this thing can do? Is there anything more that can be done? The answer is yes. It will come. The expansion, the new stuff, the new energy. November 23. On meeting Cooper. I saw him on the street first. Then later that day, I saw him in the supermarket. There were people waiting to be served, and he was ahead of me in the queue. There was great commotion at the till because some young guy had tried to sneak stuff out in his bag and had gotten caught by the checkout girl. Then the poor sap who was the security guard came over. It was quite a noisy scene, and you could sense people getting edgy as they watched the scene get a little physical. A punch was thrown. The thief tried to make his getaway, but was rugby tackled to the ground by the very capable, if rather small, security guard, whom I felt was probably not earning enough, especially today. The shoplifter was eventually calmed down and taken to the back office. Everyone in the queue was quietly passing comments to one another. But as I looked at the guy ahead of me, I was strangely kind of mesmerized by his look of absolute indifference. He was looking slightly to the side, so I had a good view of his profile, and his expression, which I was close enough to get some sense of, and his presence, was one of complete serenity. He smiled at the checkout lady when it was his turn to be served, and didn't in the least seem like a cold person, although he had watched the scene with such total detachment, as if he'd been watching a TV show. He really affected me, this guy. Being in his presence seemed relaxing and inspiring somehow, although I couldn't tell you why. He was in a world of his own. As he picked up his bag of shopping and turned to leave, I heard the checkout girl say, "Have a good evening, Mr. Cooper." November 26th. The creators of everything. It is another dead evening here in the bar, no customers at all. Depressing. What do we do with ourselves? Happiness and inner peace seem to be bound up with some sense of achieving something now or in the future. But what achievement would have a lasting effect? And what if one simply didn't have the faculty for such a thing? Was it the recognition and ego, or was it something deeper? Something that said, you have to mean something. There has got to be a use for you and your life. One cannot surely just drift through it all, signifying nothing. Perhaps all the dreams, fantasies, and wishful thinking in this life were the doings in some next life. Or was it, as somebody once said, all vanity? But we all need to be someone, and the idea of going through life in ever-decreasing circles as one gets older, and eventually die an unknown person alone, having achieved nothing, that thought is depressing. A hard thought, maybe, but surely it would depend on what such a person had been thinking and feeling inside, on his or her own, during all those years. Maybe they had been blissful inside. Maybe they had found the way, the key. Perhaps this was the true purpose of life, to find a lasting peace and contentedness inside, and to be able to break away from this need for recognition and this need to be something or mean something. Perhaps the key was to mean something to yourself and to recognize your own self-worth. Perhaps we work on higher levels which we are unaware of. These other levels may be so high and wide as to be called cosmic. Being involved in such work would mean that we are far from being small and insignificant. We are actually the creators of everything. December the 6th. He sat still and looked to the four corners of the room. He breathed deeply. The plan from the previous year came back to his mind, and for a brief second he glimpsed the secret. The dropping off, the separation, the stopping of the mind movie show. But he knew there was an ocean of difference between saying something like that and feeling it. He sank into the moment, clearing away any unease he could sense or feel. The 20th of January 2013. Christmas is approaching. My wife and I are going to Caraval next Tuesday to spend Christmas with my wife's family. My inner state is one of irritation, and my mind is trying very hard to attach this irritation to something in the external world. These inner states remain the same. It is just the mental pictures they are attached to that change. I have a strange feeling of foreboding, the fear of something unknown. I have had this feeling many times before, but it is very strong today. I will wait it out, this state, but I could sure use a drink about now. My medicine to cure my state of being. The 25th of December, Christmas Day. End of the line. An end of the story. Today is actually Christmas Day 2014, and I am remembering what happened this time last year, Christmas Day 2013. On that day I awoke at 10 a.m. I was spending Christmas in my wife's parents' house, and by midday I had already drank several glasses of champagne to celebrate with my wife's family. The large fridge in the kitchen was filled with 5-liter boxes of wine and a crate of bottled beer. I went to the fridge continually from morning till night to refill my glass of wine, which never did get empty. When one drinks like this, hour after hour, one has no idea how much is actually being consumed. It didn't seem like I was drinking very much, but one glass after another for 8 hours does add up. The house was filled with the brothers and sisters of my wife, plus her nieces and her nephews. The downstairs of the house is open plan, so a person cooking in the kitchen can carry on a conversation with someone else sitting beside the large fireplace. I was in charge of keeping the fire going throughout the day. This meant many trips into the garden to pick out the wood to burn. Late in the evening, as I was listening to classical music and watching the fire, the many other people of all ages were playing various games in various corners of the house. Board games, card games. Very late in the evening, I plugged myself into my MP3 player and began walking around the house, listening to my own music compilation. It is never a good sign when I plug myself into my MP3 player indoors, and that evening was no different. I was well and truly gone. It was only when I began bumping into things, expensive things, like an antique clock, that it was decided a little bit of fresh air would do me good. And so I went outside into the cold air. I walked around the house once or twice, although to be honest, this is all a blur to me now. Anyway, eventually I found myself at the back of the house, looking in through the large windows at the Christmas scene inside. I thought I felt the snow begin to fall. I thought how nice the fire looked as it burned the wood. I noticed the Christmas tree and the decorations, but then I stumbled and I fell down. When I got to my feet, after a few attempts, a burning rage started to build within me, and I felt this insane anger at the thought that I had been put outside to sober up. Then I heard the voice, or was it a thought? I'm not sure, but it suggested the strangest thing. It suggested that I could walk through the large glass doors. It whispered that I could go through the glass without breaking it, and into the living room where all the brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews were warm and cozy. This demon or angel suggested that this would be a good course of action. This would really impress everyone within the house. Then it seemed that before I had the necessary second to ponder this course of action and do the right thing and to totally ignore it, my body was already doing the action. As I could see that I'd raised my fists in the air, and I could hear the glass smash. I could hear the people inside screaming. And without knowing quite how, I found myself standing in the living room with the strange sensation of water running down my arms and legs onto the floor. Everything seemed in the distance. The cries, the noise of the smashing glass, even the sensation of the water, it all seemed in the distance somehow. Of course, everything is a blur except the voice. The voice that suggested I could walk through a solid glass door. That voice I will always remember. My wife's elder sister is a nurse, and she proceeded to take charge of the situation. If she had not been there, or if I had been on my own, well, I'd be dead now. But my wife's sister is a competent lady. She lay me down on the floor and got her son to call the ambulance. She then cut off the circulation of blood in my right arm, which was badly cut, and she covered me up with some blankets. I started to feel very tired, and I closed my eyes, but she slapped my face and told me I needed to stay awake. I remembered thinking that there was an opportunity here to gently and quietly head for the exit the exit door of life itself, and that I may never find as nice an opportunity again. But the thought only lasted for a second before I realized I was going nowhere except a hospital. I awoke the next day with the worst kind of hangover imaginable. The one where you wake up, you feel relieved for a second because of a terrible nightmare you have had, but then you open your eyes and you realize, oh my God, it's all real. I didn't dream this. I'm in a hospital. My wife came later that morning and told me that I had been lucky, as I had nearly lost the use of my right arm completely. As it was, I had cut some main blood arteries, nerves and tendons. But after a serious operation and many stitches, I would recover in time, although my right arm would never feel the same again. I was in the hospital for 3 days before returning home to Bannon with my wife. It was 2 or 3 weeks later that, for the first time, I attended my very first AA meeting. It is now exactly 1 year since that terrible night, and also exactly 1 year since I had my last drink of alcohol. 2014 has had its ups and downs, but I have coped, and in general my mood has been a lot more stable. Thanks to my AA friends and the daily compulsion to drink and to be drunk has gone. The craving to drink has gone, although I still need to be very careful, as the urge to drink has not gone completely, and it does surface from time to time. But this is my first alcohol-free Christmas since I was 16 years old. My wife and I are looking forward to selling our bar and moving on to something new, anything new. As I look back on these diaries, I realized that I seem to be spending a lot of time trying to find the right state of being. That is, a contented state of being. But I know now that states of mind and states of feeling are transient. They're always shifting from one thing to another. And although most of these states are reasonably familiar to us, some are obviously more welcome than others. I now think that trying to keep one state constant is a mistake. And being in the moment is not about being in the same contented state always, as this is not possible. At least, not for me. It seems far better to accept that states of mind are constantly in flux, and accept whatever one you happen to be in. Don't worry, because they're always changing, and whatever state you're in now won't last long. Be in the moment, no matter what the state of that moment is. In the past, I've been obsessed with finding a kind of nirvana, obsessed with finding a high country, with finding a state of ecstasy. These obsessions lead to problems. Now, I don't think it's about trying to find something. I think it's by dropping lots of things that we find the state of serenity. We need to drop baggage. We need to drop things. It's not about finding anything. It's about losing things. The flowing of these states is very much a part of the human condition, and it is not a good idea to spend one's time obsessively looking for that one elusive state and trying to keep it. Everything is changing, and nothing remains the same. Thank God.